So I'm excited. I've got the first strawberries of the season. I mean, look at those. They are beautiful. And they're not going to get big because they're ever-bearing strawberry. And so ever-bearing will make strawberries all summer. But they're about this size. They're not going to be like the big, huge strawberries that you can get that are June-bearing strawberries. The flavor is out of this world, though. That is so good. Welcome back to a drizzly Heather's greenhouse. So I wanted to highlight a couple things on this rainy day. Y'all, I cannot get over these peony. They're absolutely beautiful. Look at that. Wow. I'm so happy, so excited. All the snapdragons in here are doing excellent. They're going to really fill that in no time. I'm going to try to go find one thing interesting per raised bed. So let's see what we have in here. I am so excited to have this come back. Look at that elephant ear. It has absolutely black stems and beautiful veining on the back of the leaf. I'm really excited about that. And the hardy hibiscus, it's hard to see, but it's right there. It's coming back. The lamb's ear is getting ready to bloom. Excited about that. All right, let's look in here. Everything in there's doing good. So that is a wildflower mix that had, honestly, weed seeds in it. So I'm going to really need to get in there and very carefully pull out the weeds and lead all of the wildflowers. I'm not going to do that today in the rain, though. And the cherry is doing very good. Starting to put on some new growth. Excited about that. So hopefully we'll have a better year for the cherry this year. Last year, the Japanese beetle absolutely decimated it. Speaking of the Japanese maple, I did want to highlight it. It is absolutely gorgeous and filling in. And then in this bed, we have some allium. You've got some alyssum, have some weeds. Today is Saturday, so it's a non-work day. Maybe I'll get out here and get some weeding done. So let's talk a little bit about garden design, what I do and how I do it and why I do it. I'm very wabi-sabi, which is finding perfection in the imperfect. I love overplanting beds, so you can see everything is just crammed in, packed in. What that does is that helps to keep down weed seed, so I'm not having to come out here and weed as often. And it makes for an absolutely gorgeous jam-packed bed of flowers. Look at this one for example. That is just jam-packed full of flowers. And, you know, I talk about leaving flowers to get pollinated. Look at that. Let me see if I can pull that out. All right, so that is seeds from and you can probably guess what that is just looking at how the flower stalk was. You got it, it's a hyacinth. So I have all these free hyacinth seeds. Now I have a choice. Either I can A, leave them in place and let them self-seed, or B, I could take these inside and store them, and then, you know, when I'm ready, I can plant them out. I think I'm just going to tuck them down in there and just leave them to self-seed. Then we have the citrus bed here. Now y'all, that stem is dead. I did not root it. I literally cut it off and just stuck it in the bed. It is not going to live. It didn't root. I'm just going to pull it out and I will discard it later into the compost. And you can see in the citrus bed I have left more space between plants. And y'all, Mother Nature wants to be covered. So if you don't cover her with flowers or vegetables or something you want there, she's going to cover that space with weeds. Great example right here. So where I thought I had a very full packed bed, obviously I didn't. Because look at this weed and how big it got before I even found it. So I'm going to pull that out real quick. And I don't know what that is, but I've got something right there. I'm just going to get that out of there. Looked like maybe a little spider had made a nest. And while it's small and easy to take care of, I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. And there's another weed. They are so prolific in the spring. All right, and here's the oregano bed. Y'all, oregano is an absolute thug in my garden, but it does not like to dry out. You can see where I didn't water it, and it's enjoying the rain today, but it was pretty dry yesterday, so it had wilted back that quickly. But then look, just a little bit of rain and it's already perking back up. Sage right there is loving life where it's at. Glad to see that. Again, if you don't cover the soil, it's going to grow weeds. You know, either I need to come in there and weed it consistently, or I need to replant something else there. I was hoping my agapanthus would come back. Y'all, it looks like the agapanthus might be done for. Then we've got a tomato right there. More beautiful snapdragons. The ranunculus that's on the way out. That is a clump of chives. And then in here, that's where I have the saffron crocus. Now, saffron crocus comes out and blooms in October for us, not in the spring. So by the time April gets around, it's died off. And that's fine. I'll just leave that as it is, and then I'll fertilize it, and then come fall, it'll be ready to produce again for me. And the squirrels have been in the basil bed. That's okay. I have enough volunteers. I mean, y'all, I did not seed this bed. These are all volunteers from last year. I had sweet basil and that's a weed. There we go. Thai basil. And I'll let it flower. I'll let it go to seed. And these seeds germinated in here and came up. And I'm going to leave them right where they're at because they seem happy. Now, if I see that the squirrels are constantly digging in here, I might take a couple and transplant them somewhere else, just so I do have basil available when I cook. Y'all, I'm just kind of doing a slow garden stroll with y'all today. I need to tie up the asparagus fronds, but I'll do that later. And look at the veggie garden. Boy, it is loving the rain. Now I'm going to have to get out here and I'm going to have to start trellising and tying stuff up. The sweet peas do have a trellis right here, but you can see they've already outgrown the trellis. If I put that sweet pea against the fence behind it, the deer will eat it from the other side. So I tend to not do that, but sweet peas aren't going to hang around here much longer anyway. As soon as it gets hot, they're going to die back. All of the lilies. Y'all, this is a dianthus that is called carnation dianthus. I bought it bare root, I think last year, and it is really full of buds this year. I'm really excited about that. I've never grown carnations before in the backyard, so I'm excited to grow them and see how they do, and also see how they do as cut flowers for me. Some things that are great cut flowers for other people are not for me, so sometimes it is an experiment. I can't even get all this in the screen. Look how massive that is. It's kind of leaning now from the weight of the water from the rain, but I bet when that's straight up, it's probably 6.5 foot by now. It is massive. And this is the hot lip salvia. And then I've got the diamond snow and a little bit of verbena in there. Now you might ask why I put those in here. Honestly, it's just because I like to have my beds overfull, overpacked. I don't want to have to do a ton of weeding. So I want to cover the soil with things that I think are beautiful or things that are edible for me. And this bed was predominantly empty. There's a couple of, I don't know what those are. I think they're alliums, but they don't look very good. I think that's an allium right there, but boy, it's struggling. And you can see this beside it. The deer ate the top off. And then that is an Aphophia, also called a red hot poker. I might have to trim the salvia back from it. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that, or at least tie it back so it gets more sun. So, you know, that's one of the things I enjoy about the garden tours is I see things that I miss. And it's like, oh, I need to do that. I need to do that. And so it reminds me to come out and do some of these things. Another great example of my garden design and how I just overpack and overstuff my beds. That is going to be absolutely gorgeous in a couple of weeks because everything's going to be blooming and beautiful. Then over here, you've got canna lilies. These are the cannas. These are calla lilies that I put in there that I'm probably going to have to relocate at some point because the cannas are just going to overtake them. And then over here, that's a kufia. And it is spilling out of that bed, and it is so pretty. And we've got the gardening girl. This is Chrissy Ann. Hey, Chrissy Ann. Hey, Chrissy Ann. Hey, baby girl. Oh, I know. You laying down in the wet? It's been raining. I know. I can't believe she's out here in the rain with me. And that's another overfilled bed. I've got bachelor's buttons. It looks like it's going to be the next thing blooming. You see the bud right there. There's a bud right there. And that was the bed that I had a lot of the anemone in. You can see that one's kind of spent. But that was the anemone bed. And so, you know, I just threw a bunch of seeds over top of it because I knew the anemones were going to go away as soon as it started getting warm. And I wanted the next phase of flowers to come in. So I just threw seeds on top. This is such a random mix of flowers. But I love it. I love to see how the garden evolves over time. And y'all, look at this. I've got a amaryllis growing up in the middle of my snapdragons. That's getting ready to bloom. And yes, I still owe you an amaryllis planting video, and I promise I will do it at some point. It might or might not be today. It depends on the rain. So I've mentioned before, my design aesthetic is wabi-sabi. I love using every crayon color in a crayon box. And this is a great example in this one bed. You've got the beautiful orange with the purple and the red with the chartreuse, and then you've got a beautiful little lavender iris. I think I hit most of the beds. I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh, my strawberries. Look, y'all. My strawberries are dying. I don't know why. I know last year the deer came in and ate all the strawberries, like pulled them up out of the roots. These were the ones I could save, and now it looks like this one is gone. What happened to it? I don't know. And the eucalyptus is starting to put out fresh new leaves, fresh new growth. Really excited about that. I love cutting that for arrangements that I take inside. Another example of growing vegetables in with my ornamentals. So this is a lettuce, and this is I think it's a type of a mustard. They're in this pot with a bunch of, it looked like, that was probably Dutch iris. I did harvest some lettuce and eat it, but I'm gonna let the rest of this just go to seed. I'll let it reseed where it's at. And some of them I will collect and I'll use to reseed and resow in the fall. That is really pretty. And man, it's full of buds. Love that. And I need to highlight the clematis over here. So that clematis I did not plant. I don't know exactly what type it is. I thought the landscapers have killed it at least twice, if not 3 times. It keeps coming back. Clematis like their roots in the shade and their heads in the sun. So you really need to give them somewhere where their roots are protected, but they can climb up and grow. Now I do have trellising here, but it looks like they have preferred to grow up inside that bush, which is fine. I'm just gonna let them go. They're not gonna kill that bush, and honestly, that bush has been there who knows how long. And the glorious blood-good Japanese maple. That new leaf foliage and the new growth is so bright red, and it gets so dark. So let me see if I can show you. So the new growth up there is just bright red. And then as it gets older, it gets darker and darker until, y'all, it is almost a dark purple back in there. Absolutely gorgeous. And it just pops against that chartreuse. Sunshine ligustrum, that's what that's called. Like, it's a privet, but I can't, it's called something else. Sunshine ligustrum. So if you go to a garden center, you're not going to see privet listed on the thing. It's going to be listed as sunshine ligustrum. It actually is a type of non-invasive privet. And I just love that combination. And Miss Chrissy is right here beside the chrysanthemum. And sometimes her papa will call her chrysanthemum. So let me show you if I can. The buds. This thing is already full of flower buds. It is loving life in that pot. It is going to be absolutely gorgeous this fall. You know, and that's something to think about. You know, when you buy something from a store or someone gifts you a plant, it's going to be beautiful for a short time in the pot. But if you can put it outside, if it'll live in your zone, put it outside. Then you'll get years and years and years of glorious blooms and flowers that you get to enjoy. You know, I always tell my husband, don't buy me a bouquet of roses, buy me a rose bush. Because y'all, look at that rose bush. I mean, that is covered and it smells so pretty. Let me see if I can get over through there. Yeah. That is the most pale, fragile pink. And I don't know if you can see, but they are, for every one flower open, there's probably 6 buds that have not opened yet. So, you know, I get to enjoy this rose bush every single spring. So it's not a one and done or, you know, a Valentine's Day vase full of beautiful roses that I get to enjoy for a week. It's now a plant in my garden that I get to enjoy year after year after year. So guys, think about that next time you need to get your wife a gift. Think about getting her a plant, something she can put in the yard and enjoy for years to come and not just be limited to one year. And yes, the disappointment still continues. Y'all, I wanted a pool. Couldn't get an in-ground pool. Thought I could do an above-ground pool. Now we just have a muddy mess of a backyard. And we have a hole where a abandoned septic was found. And there's just a piece of board over it to keep the dogs from falling in. We're going to have that filled. We're going to have it regraded. We're going to have sod put in. Y'all, I'm going to spend probably $2,000 fixing this backyard to where it was before I started my harebrained idea of wanting a pool. Speaking of, let's go check on the plants that we moved from that side of the yard. Let's see how they're doing on the hill. So here's the hill where we moved all the stuff from the backyard in anticipation of a pool going in. Y'all, I am so glad to see the irises blooming. I was so afraid the deer would eat all the iris and I would miss out on having iris in my yard. You can see the deer are definitely eating on them, but a few have gotten past them. And that is a hardy hibiscus. I left the stems up thinking it might deter the deer from eating it. Nope, look at this. So the deer are coming in and eating all of the new shoots and the new growth on that hardy hibiscus. This is a hydrangea that's leafing and coming back out. Some more iris there. That is the Nancy Reagan rose bush. It's got one little flower on it. We've got more iris. That's another hydrangea. That is a azalea. It is looking pretty pathetic, but it is alive, so we're going to give it a chance. And then this is the baptisia. Some of it's not going to make it, some of it is. So I'm excited to see how the baptisia does over here. You can see right here is pushing some new growth, so that gives me hope. But then you have other areas where it got burned pretty bad. And y'all, when I say it got burned, I don't mean from the sun, because it was in full sun where it was. I think it just got too dry. I mean, it's on a hill over here. I did put some mulch over the top, but it doesn't get near enough water. And I've been trying to water, but it's outside the fence. And when I go outside the fence, the dogs come outside the fence. So I try to stay in the fence as much as I can. Hey, Bullet joined us. Hey, Bullet. Bullet, why are you eating grass? Chrissy, are you eating grass too? Y'all aren't cows. No, you're not. Alright, well, it's starting to rain a little bit harder, so I am going to wrap this one up for today. Until next time, happy gardening.